Welcome to the game demonstration of the board game Wild Pursuit. Wild Pursuit is a family board game where the players compete to capture wild animals around a variety of habitats around the world. Let's find out a little bit more about this game. Before you play Wild Pursuit, you should become familiar with the different components of the game. Here we have the different game boards. You have the deck of cards. You have these red glass beads used in the game called injury counters. You have the pawns used to mark where you are in the game. And you have the dice to move. It's important that you become familiar with each component of each card. This is a habitat card. Each spot you see here is a different habitat, different spaces on the board. At the top of the card, you will see the name of it, the name of the habitat, and down at the bottom you will see text describing what happens when you land on this location. Each habitat will be different, so it's important that you read the text very carefully so that you know what you must do next. In this game, there are 4 different cards that you must learn to use. The first card is the animal card. First, if you look at the top, you'll see the name of the card. Over here, you'll see how many points it's worth when you capture it. Down in the middle, you will see what type of card it is. Here you will see what habitat you must place this card when it is drawn. Down at the bottom, this text will tell you what tools you need to capture this animal. And you have a text box here describing what this animal does. This card here is called a capture device. Again, you have the name of the card at the top, the type of card it is, and in the text box here, this will tell you which animal you can capture with this card. This card here is called survival gear. Name at the top, type of card it is, and in the text box will tell you which habitats you can use this card. These 3 cards together you will use to capture the animals. The last card used in this game is the wild card. There are many different types of wild cards in this game, and they have many different effects. You must read the text box very carefully to know what will happen next. To set up the game to play is very simple. You simply take the habitat boards and you will shuffle them around. Then you will take them and put them together so that they form a large rectangular board. The end result is your board. Because of the way we put it together, the spaces will be laid out differently each time you play. Next, you will take a deck of cards and you will shuffle them thoroughly, and then place them in the middle so that everybody can reach. On each player's turn, the player must first decide if they will move from their spot. So if you're in a spot, you can choose to remain there or move to a new spot. To move to a new spot, you will take the dice and roll it. The number rolled will be the maximum amount of spaces that you can move on your turn. You can move less than the amount. You can choose to move clockwise or counterclockwise, but once you move in a certain direction, you cannot double back. After a player rolls the dice and lands on a certain habitat, they must carefully read the text on the habitat to find out if anything happens. Also, if there happens to be an animal located on the habitat, you must read the text box to see if the animal has any effect on the player. After landing on a spot and reading the text on the cards, the player must decide if they're going to capture an animal, if they have the proper cards. If they can't do that, then the player will draw a card. Whenever you draw a card, different things happen depending on what card is drawn. If the card drawn is an animal card, you must look at the habitat that it belongs to and place it in the proper habitat. If the card drawn is a capture device or a survival gear, the player must decide if they wish to keep it or not. A player may only keep one of each card at a time. If the player decides to keep it, just place it in front of them and they have it. If the character does not want to keep it, they simply drop it on the location. Once it's on a location, any other player can pick it up when they land there. Again, you may only have one of each card at a time. So if there's one at a location and you already have that card when you land there, you need to switch. When you draw a wild card, different things happen. Some wild cards will let you hold on to it until you choose to use it. Some will have an effect immediately. You need to read the text very carefully to know what you must do next. Okay, the main point of this game is to capture the animals. In order to capture the animals, you must land on the location where the animal is at. At the bottom of the card, it will tell you what type of card you need. In this case, this is the gorilla and it requires a tranquilizer gun. So you must have the tranquilizer gun card in order to be able to capture it. But the gorilla is located on the jungle location. So in order to capture an animal there, you need the proper survival gear. In this case, you need the all-terrain vehicle. So once you have those two cards and you land on the habitat where the gorilla is located, you can capture it. By capturing it, simply announce that you're going to capture it, and you will discard the two cards you have and you will take the animal card. Place it to the side and now it's yours. No other player can take it. You cannot lose this card. The points at the top of the card will add to your total score at the end of the game. Some of the cards in this game and some of the locations will cause you to become injured or receive what's called an injury counter in this game. These red beads are the injury counters. Anytime you become injured, you will take your injury counter and place it in front of you. For each one of these that you have, you'll have -2 to your roll. So if I have 1 and I roll the dice, I roll a 5, -2, now I only have 3. The effects of these stack up, so if you have more than 1, you add up the effects. In this case it will be -4, so I would only have a 1. But no matter how many injury counters you have and what you roll, you can always move at least 1 space. So if I were to roll, say, a 2 and I have -4, I still have a minimum of 1, so I can still move 1 space. Usually when you're injured like that, you want to try to reach the city location where you can be healed. However, once you receive 3 injury counters, your character is knocked out. When that happens, you must take all your injury counters and discard them, and any cards that you are holding, any capture device or survival gear, you must drop it on the current location where your character is at. After you do that, you must take your character and place on the city habitat. That way you become healed and your turn ends. You will start your next turn from there, but you have to reclaim the cards that you lost. Once all of the animals are captured on the board, the game ends. Then each player counts up how many points total they have. The player with the most amount of points wins the game. Please be sure to read the detailed instruction booklet that comes with the game. We hope you've enjoyed this brief demonstration and we hope you enjoy playing this game.